Welcome back, everybody! It's Orbital Season 2, the debut. We got a lot to talk about. First week of Rockets preseason basketball has finished. The team is 2-0. They beat the Shanghai Sharks, and they beat the LA Clippers without Kawhi or Paul George. So there's not much to read into there, but we have a lot to talk about.
James Harden dropped 37.
That's something to talk about. Let's talk about the offseason a little bit, Roy. Tell us what happened.
Well, you know, it's a new NBA season. It's a new me. Rockets obviously taking that same identity and practically putting it on steroids, subbing out Chris Paul for Harden. I mean, not Harden, for Westbrook. Chris Paul for Westbrook, I think if you ask anybody on the streets would say, yeah, I think Westbrook's a little bit better than Chris Paul. So if you ask me how I think the Rockets did this offseason in general, there's a lot of other little additions that they made, but from a broad lens, I don't think you can deny that the Rockets definitely got better. And the Rockets, in my opinion, as the end of last season, were in a position to easily, I think, make the NBA Finals and put themselves in a championship,
Discussion.
Contender, because I think most people would have wrote off the Rockets last year as not really having a real chance to win. But those same people would have told you that the Rockets should have beat the Warriors in Game 6 last year without Clay. And, Clay gets hurt. Not Clay gets hurt. KD gets hurt, sorry. So KD gets hurt, and the Rockets looked like they were in control to put themselves in position to go all the way. And, didn't hit shots. Curry has a fire second half in Game 6. And, Rockets go, I'm sorry. And now we're off to the drawing boards with big names like Westbrook.
You bring up Russell Westbrook, the trade, right? And probably pretty scrutinized trade, even though you're trading Chris Paul, an aging superstar with a huge contract, for Russell Westbrook, a slightly younger, but still, most people would consider him overpaid for what he's been giving the past couple of years, especially from three, which doesn't really match the Rockets' style of play.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you traded Chris Paul and a handful of picks, which the Rockets never. The last time Rockets took advantage of a first-round pick was Clint Capella, right? I believe Hardenstein might have been a first-round pick as well, but I believe he was second round. But Clint Capella is the last notable first-round pick the Rockets actually picked and kept and continued to use and develop. The Rockets don't necessarily, that's not the way that they handle their basketball team. That's totally fine. And so when that's your mindset of win now, trading away picks isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? And especially when you're getting Russell Westbrook, who has the chemistry with James Harden, even though when they played last together, obviously nowhere near the players they are today. Which is going to take a little bit, I said in my video on the Instagram, it's going to take some time to gel and to relearn how to play together. I have no doubt they've been playing together, but there's a difference between the pickup basketball courts and an actual NBA game that matters to your salary and everything around there. So I think I'm obviously a big fan of the Russell Westbrook trade. I'm a big fan of Russell Westbrook, even though I've just not really been a big fan of his when he was winning MVPs over James Harden. But at the end of the day, the Rockets got better, and that's what matters. And that's what Daryl Morey's trying to do, is get a better basketball team on the basketball court.
Yeah, put our team in position to actually win, title, which we've been very, very close the last few years, 5 years or so. Been knocked out by the Warriors 4 years straight. Looks like this is the first year that most people would say that the Rockets are better than the Warriors going into the season. So you look at who stands in our way. A couple big name teams that also made some big additions this offseason. But in terms of sculpting the Rockets team to put ourselves in that winning position, I think this year is the most dominant year and gives us the best chance that we've had ever since I've really been a Rockets fan growing up. I don't think that we've ever had a better chance going into this year than we have any other year.
I would agree with that. As well. I also think that the teams redistributed their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, so there probably is the first year again that there isn't one dominant team that's slated to win it all. And that, like you said, there's probably 6-7 teams that no one would be surprised that they could win easily.
You can make a case for it.
At least in the West, have a chance.
Absolutely. You brought up rosters, right? And last year's roster being a very good roster, but maybe not having enough time to really gel and play together enough to where they can compete and everyone knows their role and knows how they can fit in.
Our team would have had to play really, really well to beat the Warriors.
Absolutely.
And you can see if some guys aren't hitting shots, then it puts our team in a bad position, especially if the Warriors or Curry are going off. Yeah, you know how much you can do.
But you look at those pieces, and each piece makes sense, right? Austin Rivers is a defensive guard. It's a Patrick Beverley upgraded in some ways.
Yeah.
Where he's more offensively capable than Patrick Beverley was, even though, you know, he was obviously a huge Patrick Beverley fan. But at the end of the day, Austin Rivers is probably a more upgradable version of Patrick Beverley.
I don't think so.
You know, we did agree to disagree.
Well, I mean, Beverley clearly. I mean, the only thing Rivers
Defensively, Beverley is way better.
Yeah, but Rivers
He's
2 years ago led the league, or was like top 3 in the league in ISO scoring with Harden and Chris Paul.
Exactly. So he fits the system.
But Rivers, in terms of like shooting, very streaky. Beverly, I'd say, is more consistent shooter, but at the end of the day, I do think we got him for a lot cheaper. I mean, the Clippers just re-signed Beverly for like 3 years, $40 million or something like that. And so, the point is, we got another piece that coming off the bench now that almost fills that Beverly role, and in some ways better. Like, which I can agree with you. And I think we're really going to have that firepower coming in off the bench this year more than in previous years, even though we've always had a super killer bench and true to scoring especially. But the offseason additions that we made this year, I've been on the record to say what I thought about the Russell Westbrook trade in detail in terms of going forward, how that is going to impact our team and the formation of our team, because of his huge salary. Him and Harden practically take up like between 70 and 80% of our whole contract salary cap pretty much. You throw in Capella, he's got a huge contract too. It's like, we don't have a lot of money to go besides those 3-star players, and yet we still fill out a really, really in-depth team where, we're going to be talking about who's going to be the roster cuts, who's going to make the final roster, because we have so much depth going forward, people that can actually contribute to this championship run that we're trying to make.
You bring that up, and let's talk about the final 15-man roster.
Let's go to the roster, baby.
Right now the Rockets have about 20 people on the, you look up.
There's about,
on the roster online.
There's about 18 in contention.
Absolutely.
So you can see making the team.
Let's go through the easy ones, right?
Yeah.
Russ, Harden.
Starters.
My starting lineup would be Russ, Harden, Daniel House, PJ Tucker, and Clint Capella, right? And most likely, Gordon will start.
Yeah, okay, so that is just definitely not going to be a starting roster. I bet my life that D'Antoni and Daryl Morey are both on the same page that Gordon is going to start for the Rockets.
Man, it's not a small
And you're going to bring but House is not that much stronger than Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is really strong, and like in terms of height, I really think House might have an inch on him, but but really,
yeah, Gordon's like 6'4".
Gordon, dude, House is like. I think that point is Gordon's a way better shooter.
6'7".
Okay.
Right there.
What? How's Gordon?
Gordon. 6'4". Look at that.
Okay, so.
And with the recent NBA callbacks on height, height listings,
I saw that.
He might go down a couple inches.
Did you see Marvin Bagley's like on like 6'11" to 6'8"?
I did see that. So Gordon might go from 6'4" to like 6'2".
Yeah.
We'll see. But anyway, Russ, Harden, Daniel House, PJ Tucker, Clint Capella, Eric Gordon, Austin Rivers, Gerald Green, Tyson Chandler, Nene, Hartenstein, and Clark will probably all definitely be on the team.
I don't know about Clark and Hartenstein. They're to be determined.
We'll
so
go back and forth between the G League and.
Hartenstein, Clark. We're definitely going to get a lot of G League play. If we're going to talk about, I'm trying to get Eric Gordon's height here. He is 6'4", unfortunately, but he, you know how much he weighs?
215.
216. So, and Daniel House weighs
220.
220. So, point is, they're about the same weight, same strength. Gordon's probably a little bit better of a shooter, but House was my favorite pick. Like I said, my X factor last year, especially going to the playoffs for the Rockets, and I think he's going to really, really take that second step this year. And you see sophomore players, third-year players really start to gel and find their place in the NBA. So a guy like Daniel House, his ceiling is astronomically high. Had a couple really good hook-back dunks. in the preseason game, especially the first game. I saw a big one he had, and his ability to be able to score, hit step back shots like James Harden. You can see he's adding that element to his game. So to have an efficient shooter and a great driver, it's almost like a younger version of Eric Gordon.
So you see a guy that wants to get better.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing.
And he's young, and we got him. So
exactly. And while it's not really his sophomore season, maybe he played with Warriors and Phoenix. It is his sophomore season with the Rockets, and essentially it's his sophomore season because he is getting.
He has been getting
minutes on the other team.
Yeah, and he was really in the G League making his money at the beginning last year until the Rockets signed him on to that two-way contract and allowed him to actually get some real NBA game time. And then we could see the potential immediately with a guy like Daniel House and how much he could impact our team. So, like John said, John wants him to start for our team.
I did.
And I think I could see that and bring Gordon with firepower coming in with Austin Rivers and Gerald Green. That could add some definite heat coming off the bench. I do think that they're both going to play a lot, and injuries are going to plague the team throughout the season. So a guy like Daniel House is going to be a good star, fill in, play big minutes for us. But let's talk about the end of the roster.
Before we move on there real quick, I want to talk about Gordon a little bit. I mean, Gordon, I think a lot of the Rockets fans would agree, and a lot of analysts would agree, that Gordon's at his best when he can get to the rim and then use that to make defenders sag off of him, and then he can start shooting threes. But I think a lot of times he comes into games, he comes out firing, and if they go in, that's awesome. Yeah. He starts out really hot. But if they don't go in, he's cold for majority of that game, which is a big factor in why he had such a slow start last year.
Like the Rockets, really streaky. Gordon did have a really slow start to the year last year, but did pick it up as most shooters are able to find their touch as the season goes on. That's going to be a big question for the Rockets going forward is, we've been historically a really good shooting team, and we obviously, with our style of play, need good shooters with the driving and penetrating and kicking out. And Westbrook is really going to add to that element of our game. I think, we saw a Rockets team a few years ago, getting most of their points in transition, scoring a lot off the break, but now the Rockets moved to one of the slowest in pace last season, and that's mainly because of James Harden controlling the ball. But
I think that will pick back up this season.
Exactly, I think it has to if the Rockets are going to be able to find those easy buckets, which I think is going to be the different element of our game with Russell Westbrook versus Chris Paul. Chris Paul could obviously run the team, run plays, but the type of speed and athleticism that Westbrook has, he's going to be coming in with an open mind. He's hearing all the rumors that he can't shoot. He's not going to be able to fit with the Rockets because of that. And he has clearly said, even on media days, opening press conferences, that he can clearly affect the game in other ways and impact the game in other ways. And whether that is rebounding and right off the break, pushing it, and either that scoring in transition or finding the open guy in transition, I know that without just Harden, if he can't create for somebody else, Russell Westbrook, I think he's actually been doing more creating and getting more open looks for people, especially guys like PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, when they're camping out on the three-point line. You need to have that type of real penetration to be able to kick and get those open shooters good looks. Once you get them going, then the team starts to get in a rhythm, they start to gel. So I think you'll see Russell Westbrook really start to enhance the other players' elements in their game. And if you get them to play better, obviously the Rockets are going to be playing better, and that's going to be what we need to have this championship run this year.
Absolutely. And okay, so let's talk about the last three spots on the roster, right? Pablo Cephalosha will probably make it, even though he hasn't been showing too much in the preseason. Just a veteran guy, he'll fall into form as the season goes on. But the last two spots, I think it's up to three people. It's up to Ryan Anderson, obviously being signed to the team for the preseason. Ben McLemore trying to revive his career, and also Chris Clemens, pretty big standout guy. Right now is averaging 18 points per game in 21 minutes of play, which is pretty big. Mike D'Antoni has talked about how big of an impact he has, how well he's playing, and if he continues to play this level, he'll probably make the roster.
I'm trying to get a Chris Clemens jersey right at the moment, but they're all sold out. Apparently someone's beat me to the punch. But Chris Clemens is my Brandon Knight of last year, for the real fans that know, my breakout player projected. Chris Clemens, if he makes a roster spot, I think if you see any Chris Clemens highlights, the only thing he doesn't have going for him is that he's short. But he heavily overcompensates with that, with his pure athleticism, strength, power, and of course sauce in his three-point shooting. The guy is an absolute sharpshooter and can dunk like Westbrook. Like, he is Not like Westbrook, but I mean, he's strong,
finisher, dunker, shooter.
He's just not that tall. He's short, and so that last roster spot with Chris Clemens, I think it's pretty clear that he has the potential going forward. Coming in out of his rookie season, now it's his first year. We've seen what he can do in the summer league and going off, and he was clearly our best player on the summer league team, and has that kind of potential to be a real Rockets player. You know, he's got that three-point shooting, athleticism. I think he can at least play average defense. I mean,
you look at how Harden and Westbrook play defense in terms of they're disruptive. He can be disruptive.
Yeah,
he's active. Yeah. He can be active on the defensive
and especially,
floor.
you know, he's going to play a lot in the G League, I think, but he can come in depending on how our injuries go throughout the season and maybe contribute some real minutes in NBA this year. So I think he will probably have a lot of G League experience this year, but a guy like Ben McLemore, I think, you know, we brought him in to make the roster. I kind of view him and Cephalosha on the same token. I mean, if one of them have to get cut, I'd probably take McLemore. I think you'd probably take Cephalosha.
No, I would. Defense.
Cephalosha is just like...
Let me tell you this. Last year...
That's a lot of Thunder players. It's a lot of Thunder players, if you ask me.
That means Serge Ibaka's coming in anytime soon?
Ibaka?
See if we can get Ibaka this year.
We got the big man this year.
He is an expiring contract, by the way, so maybe next year.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, you're right. I would take Pablo Cephalosha because last year he shot 44% from three-point range, which is pretty good. Last year, Ben McLemore was struggling to make an NBA team. That's a pretty big difference. Plus, Pablo's obviously a better defender, has more experience in the league. I think that's a big factor for me. I can depend on Pablo Cephalosha more than I can depend on Ben McLemore, even though through the 2 games, he's averaging 13 points per game in 22 minutes of play. Went 3 for 5 from 3 last game against the LA Clippers. I don't really look into the Shanghai Sharks game because that's just that's a varsity versus a JV kind of game. But you see how he played against other NBA players. He had a good outing, 3 for 5, like I said, 3 against the Clippers, which is really good. It's good to see him make shots, and I think if he's going to make any team, this would be a team for Ben McLemore to make. I think Pablo's just set in stone. He's going to make it. I see Ben McLemore as an end-of-the-bench guy, 13 through 15. He's going to stay there unless there's an injury or garbage time minutes, and you throw him out there and he shows you something. But he, kind of like we talked about with Clemens, he does have the Rockets skill set that you look for: three-point shooting, finishability. He just hasn't been able to find a bunch of good teams, but I think this is one team where he can just play off the ball. And Ben McLemore, probably around 6'4", 6'5", kind of can play that Eric Gordon role, just at a discounted version and maybe in garbage time.
Yeah, and I just saw Cephalosha played 50 games for Utah last year. It's more than I thought. He only played about a quarter a game, but we don't need that much contribution from him. We just need that quarter here, minutes here.
He's essentially a Trevor Ariza. We're giving him the Trevor Ariza label of this team. Yeah,
and I think the Rockets are really primed to set up for if we do have any injuries. So, I've already alluded to this earlier, but throughout the season, we're going to have real players that can come in and contribute. We're going to be able to be good if we have to have these spot starts with Austin Rivers or Jalen Green or, Thabo Cephalosha. He could easily come in and make real contributions, that kind of veteran presence, especially a guy like Tyson Chandler, I think our just center depth. We talked about, you said with Hardenstein probably going to make the team. I think he's going to have a lot of G League. I like Hardenstein going forward, his potential on the Rockets going forward, but you take a guy like, obviously, Clint is going to be maturing this year. I predict that this will be, if it wasn't for all the depth in the West, Clint Capella would be an all-star player this year. I think he will be pretty close to that 20 and 12 averaging. I think he was about 18 last year. He's definitely going to get more looks with Westbrook here and get more buckets that way. So I think you take Capella being at 20 and 12, that's an all-star caliber player. And we bring back Nene, restructure his contract. So we're still going to have him coming off the bench along with Tyson Chandler, who we obviously brought in, and then you got Hardenstein in the mix somehow. So, we have all these big men, and the Rockets like to play small, with PJ Tucker at the 4. And so I don't think we would ever play Capella and Nene or Capella and Chandler at the same time.
Capella and Chandler are definitely not playing at the same time because their skill sets are too similar. I can see Nene playing with one of the two.
That's what I'm wondering.
If you go against a big lineup like like a Trailblazers or a Nuggets team. I could see.
I think you would like to see Hardenstein play the 4. He would be a big 4 that he kind of shoot a little bit, but that kind of makes, I don't know if that makes our team a little too big, but a little too congested in terms of having our drivers try to, Harden and Westbrook get to the paint. But the point is, we're going to have that center and that big man depth to go with along the guard depth that we've already established. That I think the Rockets have the best depth, or not one of the best depths in the league.
I think it's between them, Lakers, and Clippers for sure.
Well,
Warriors have
I think the Clippers.
The Lakers are pretty. The more you think about it, more teams pop up. But you mentioned other teams, so let's get to what
team breakdown.
Well, just the playoff predictions, right? I think one of the things that hasn't been said yet is how deep the East is this year. Nowhere near the West, but there is a contention of it's not a clear-cut 8 teams anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Orlando, it snuck into the playoffs last year. I got 4-1 against the Raptors, but they did win a game against the eventual NBA champions, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And so they're in the conversation, right? As much as the Knicks as much as everyone wants to write off the Knicks, I think they have a team that can make the playoffs, literally filled with veteran players. It's just a matter of, does the Knicks curse ever affect that, and they don't make it? Let's go into our 8 teams for the East and West.
I got you. I do think that the East has more depth, but it's a different kind of depth. It's depth in terms of you don't know who the 8 spots are going to be in the East, because there's probably about 10 teams, like you said, that can easily make the playoffs in the East. But you still take the caliber of talent, like the 8th best team in the West could be a team like the Warriors,
top 5,
or the Jazz. I mean, are going to be top 3, in the East behind the Bucks, Sixers. I think after the Bucks, Sixers, it kind of falls off a tier. You're going to have
there is
teams
a big gap there.
Like the Celtics, Pacers are probably in the mix. I want to say the Raptors, but it's to be determined. But yeah, let's you go into our playoffs. Start East or West.
We'll start with East. So no real order here. Maybe you can assign orders on, but definitely Bucks, Sixers. Those are your top 2. Like you said, there is a big fall off after that, right? Those are pretty quick. One of those teams is making it out of the East, unless the team surprises you. Celtics, they're going to be a good team this year with Kemba. I think they're restructuring under Brad Stevens. He has better personnel. I feel like ever since Kemba has become a Celtics player, everyone has said, he's not that different from Kyrie Irving. Yeah. But I think the personality is what's going to set that apart. Yeah. So Celtics are going to be very good.
I put them at 3 too.
Yeah. Pacers, with Oladipo coming back, and Brogdon now being added to the team.
That's
a backcourt that is in the discussion for one of maybe the top 10.
I think they could easily be the 3rd best team, or even if the Sixers don't mesh well or something happens. I mean, I think the Bucks are probably a solid pick to be top 2. Mm-hmm. But I could even see the Pacers, honestly a hot take, being better than the Sixers. A lot of people are writing the Sixers are the best team in the East with the Horford addition, but let's not forget the Pacers were the 3rd best team with Oladipo. They lose Oladipo. They still managed to kind of keep that same trajectory. They finished as the 4th seed, I believe, but they end up... I mean, they definitely got better. The question is, how much better are they going to get in relation to a team like the Sixers and the Bucks? Because I think the Pacers, they have really, really good players. But, I mean, they lost Bogdanovich, who was a key scorer for them. But like you said, they added Brogdon, who I really like Brogdon. I mean, a 50, 40, 90 player. 50 from the field, 40 from the 3, 90 from the free throw line. Really, really hard to do. The talent on that team, with Sabonis and Miles Turner, who hook him, but they're very, 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 very good, and I think a lot of people don't really want to give them any credit because I don't know, Indiana or whatever, and they like these big name Bucks, Sixers team, Celtics, but I think the Pacers could easily, they're my surprise pick in the East to upset one of the super teams.
So we mentioned Raptors too. I think obviously they're not going to be in the flashy title discussion, but you still have veteran players like Marcus Gasol and Kyle Lowry. You still have Pascal Siakam, who's going to take a huge step.
Him for sure.
Absolutely.
He's going to be really, really good.
They replaced Kawhi with a smorgasbord of other small forwards, and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson.
He's actually pretty good.
Rondae Hollis-Jefferson's there. They also got Stanley Johnson from the Pistons. I think they get bigger roles now. Maybe they can do something. Neither one of them can make a three, but we'll see what happens there. You also have the Heat with the addition of Jimmy Butler, right? I think him, Goran Dragic. We'll see how the Chris Paul news shapes out, but still, him and Goran Dragic is a good team.
Yeah.
Good backcourt.
Yeah, they'll be kicking it in the back end of the East.
Bam Adebayo probably takes a big leap this year. It's a good 1-2.
I want him to. He's really, really, really good.
And he's been stuck behind. Stuck behind Hassan Whiteside. Now that he's on the Blazers, I think it'll be really good for him. The Nets also with Kyrie, they definitely make it into the playoffs. Hopefully, you see a Celtics Nets in the first round, maybe second round. I would love to see that.
I like that.
I'd love to see that.
Really.
Not a lot of traveling there too. It's pretty close.
Yeah. Don't say the Knicks.
I'm gonna say the Knicks. I have a lot of faith in Julius Randle. He has made me bought in after his performance last year.
That's actually
Julius Randle. I feel like
that's a good take.
He's not a superstar.
He can be. He can be. Seriously, he can be.
And this is the first one of the season.
25 and 12.
This is the first one of the season. Call me crazy, but Julius Randle makes the All-Star team this year.
Dude, that is a hot take. It could be true, honestly.
I see.
I like that.
Depends on how he does, right?
You know
He's
what?
definitely starting for the New York.
That's your first take that I actually might be able to get behind.
You've seen history here on
Julius Randle. I like that.
Julius Randle makes the All-Star team this year.
We're making a note of that. We're gonna,
15 and 10. I can see him doing it.
That.
They also have an amazing center, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, R.J. Barrett. I think the Knicks are a sleeper team to make the 8th seed. They're not going to go any higher.
But 8th
seed they can make it.
Yeah, I think while I like what you're saying, I think you're just horribly writing off Orlando.
Yeah, I don't trust Orlando.
The Magic, they beat Toronto in the championships.
They did.
Their first game.
They beat the first game, and then what happened?
DJ Augustine clearly got triple team going forward and wasn't able to show the flashes that he did in game 1. But the point is, DJ Augustine took him. But he is very. Bamba is, he actually in the preseason game had a solid preseason outing a couple days ago.
That's why I don't buy into Orlando. I do not buy into their actual plans for as a team.
And he's kind of off the bench. They got big men already that they're running.
That's what I'm saying. I don't trust them.
So I'm not thinking Bamba is going to be the reason they make the playoffs, but I do think Aaron Gordon and Vucevic was an all-star.
They are a playoff contender team. I just have I don't know. In all actuality, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Right. You're probably right that Orlando does build off of what they did last year. I personally want
everyone wants to see the Knicks.
I want to see the Knicks in the playoffs.
Everyone wants to see the Knicks come back.
I want to see them. I want to see them be a big. I want them to be the Clippers of 2019-2020, and in the East. I want to see that. I want to see them get big name free agents.
Yeah.
I want to see Dolan.
When Giannis is free agent 2021.
Yeah.
No, whatever.
Speaking into existence.
Yeah. So
anyway, getting to the West.
Yeah.
Getting to the West. Obviously, okay, so Rockets to make the playoffs. Believe that, but they probably might even win the first seed. Just considering how much resting Lakers going to do with LeBron and AD.
Vegas has one of the most wins in the West right now.
But obviously, Rockets going to make it.
Team.
Clippers, Lakers, those are guys going to be in it. Blazers are going to be in it. Nuggets are going to be in it. Jazz completely restacked their team with Mike Conley. They also added Bogdan Bogdanovic, not Bogdan. They've added Bojan Bogdanovic to the team. They obviously still have Joe Ingles, still have Rudy Gobert, still have Donovan Mitchell. They've got a lot of players. They've got a lot of veteran talent. They're a good team, well coached. Warriors obviously make the playoffs with D'Angelo Russell now on the team. And my 8th pick for the team is actually the Dallas Mavericks. I think if Luka and KP mesh well, I think they definitely make the playoffs. I think the team I'm leading off for.
My boys, they fly high. The Pelicans, they fly very high. I'm here to tell you that the Pelicans are definitely my surprise pick to squeeze into the West playoffs. And the West playoffs is hard to make.
Very hard.
But you wouldn't even know a hotter take. The Lakers last year, when they were the 3rd seed and LeBron goes down, they weren't winning like that because LeBron was healthy and he was on the Lakers.
Don't say it.
They were winning because Lonzo Ball
Don't say it.
was. I mean, how he runs the team and his tempo and getting open buckets for post players, wing players, doesn't matter. The way his flash time in the offense, Zion is like a perfect addition. If you had to create a 2K player to add in with a guy like Lonzo, it just fits. It fits perfectly with the style of play. Lonzo, run and gun, great passing, great vision to a guy like Zion who he's going to be scoring a lot in transition. Zion's not the kind of guy you run a play for and you see him, back down, post up a player and, really try to take over a game. Okay, it's Zion time, We haven't really seen that type of development and player improvement from Zion. He's more just a freak athlete that if you can just give him the ball in any sort of space, then you might as well get out of the way. So Zion, receiving lobs from Lonzo, you already saw it in their first practice. It's already going viral. The lob wasn't even that good. Lonzo threw it was like off the backboard and everyone's going crazy. Just because that's what it's going to be. Lonzo and Zion just creating that hype. And it's real. If you're playing in the game, you're feeling that pressure if you're on the other team. My only problem with the Pelicans is I like Jrue Holiday, but the Pelicans have came out and said that this is Jrue Holiday's team, and they're building the team around Jrue Holiday. And so how much Lonzo actually gets to orchestrate and creates in the beginning of the year, I don't really know. I think he should easily be starting, but I don't know if that means you're bringing Redick off the bench or Brandon Ingram off the bench. I'm sure Brandon Ingram's going to start, and Jrue Holiday's definitely going to start. So that leaves JJ, Redick, or Lonzo. And I think they're probably going to lean JJ Redick and bring Lonzo off the bench, run the second unit. I don't think so. Don't get me wrong, I don't think so, but I think that's what the Pelicans are going to do, unfortunately. Redick also, can we give my man some credit? Redick never gets any credit. 13 consecutive straight playoff appearances. Hit some really, really, really big shots for the Sixers in the last few years. Obviously for the Clippers a lot, but a lot of big shots that put him in game-winning positions, put him in, I remember that Raptors game, game 7, he had some great shots. Everyone, gets on for his defense and, probably being short and he's white, but I think, he's not going to want to come off the bench, but he's kind of the perfect plug-and-play, coming off the bench shooter, need you in this moment, need you in that moment kind of guy. Lonzo, 6'7", still growing. Great hands, play athletic defense. So they're probably both going to play a lot. I could see Lonzo come off the bench though, but the Pelicans are always, even if they're not making the playoffs, they're going to be one of the most watched teams just because of how fun and Zion coming in. Obviously Jackson Hayes, I like that pickup too. I don't think he's really going to be too much, probably Mo Bamb's impact. But the Pelicans, definitely Mavericks. I mean, it just depends on how good Kristaps is.
That's true.
When
It also depends on how good Zion is.
That's a good one, yeah,
that's
right?
a good rebuttal point. So
18 and 10 is pretty good. I think that's 18 and 9.
You brought up some things, right? So you brought up a couple things about it. So yes, JJ Redick's a huge thing. And when you talk about the Mavericks versus the Pelicans, they both have short white guys that can shoot. And JJ Barea and JJ Redick.
JJ Barea.
And they're both named JJ. Look at that.
Barea sucks.
Barea does suck. He's no.
Go back to Puerto Rico.
Anyway.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. He's actually pretty good, but
I'll edit that out.
He's old.
Okay.
He's old.
Anyway, what I did like about what you said, right? Zion does have a lot of potential as a player. I've slowly bought more into the hype as we're getting closer to the season. I do not think Jrue Holiday starts at point guard. I think their lineup goes Lonzo, Jrue, after that Brandon Ingram, then you go into maybe Derek Favors, maybe you go into Jackson Hayes starting actually. That's where I would go. Unless I'm forgetting a 4. I'm forgetting Zion. Why would I
it's going to go Zion, but and then Favors. It's going to go Favors.
I think you're probably right. I would prefer to have Jackson Hayes. I think it will go Derek Favors.
Hayes will coming off the bench, kind of like that. Like I said, I think exactly how Mo Bamba kind of filled in off the bench behind Gordon and Vucevic this year. But they're still going to have good bench players.
They will with JJ.
Yeah.
Josh Hart's a big one. I expect him to have a great
year. Thank you. I cannot believe I didn't even bring up Hart. I love Josh
Big
Hart.
Josh Hart fans here at Orbital.
Let's forget someone.
So he's happy again now. At least he's happy. He's somewhere where he's happy.
As long as he's playing Fortnite, he's happy.
Exactly. But Mavericks, I think, with Luka takes another step, KP comes back to form. Even if he takes a step back, right? The Mavericks still have a lot of players in Dorian Finney-Smith that I think are underrated and show out a lot. Jalen Brunson probably comes back and has an even better season than he did last year as an undrafted rookie. I have a lot of faith in the Mavericks players, and I think Kristaps and Luka really mesh well, the sky's the limit for them. They can even maybe make a 7th seed if a team doesn't gel well and they win a lot of games, but probably not. They probably will be 8th seed at best. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the first episode of Orbital Season 2. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe, like the video, comment what you thought about what we talked about this week. Let us know what we want us to talk about next week. And go follow us on social media at Instagram and on Twitter at Orbital_podcast. Thank you guys for watching one more time. We'll see you guys next week.
Houston, baby. Let's get it. Good year coming up.